Hi everyone, it's Andrew from Hobbies Australia, and today we're going to have a look at a new offering from AFV Club which will be arriving shortly, and that's their new kit 35313, and it's an Australian light reconnaissance vehicle. So in the box we've got the top opening style carton that we would expect from AFV Club. We've got an image on the front of the M113, the Australian Army Rising Sun badge, and what this particular model comes from a period of time from the early 1990s when the Australian Army deployed this vehicle to places like Somalia and Rwanda, and it's obviously a logical progression from earlier M113s that AFV Club have offered us from the Australian service range. So let's open up the box. Whoops, there we go. So we've got decals, we've got instructions, which we'll have a look at shortly. We've got 16 odd sprues in here. Now they are from various M113s that AFV Club has done before, and if you have a look there on the back of the sprue, you can actually see what was the donor kit. So you see that on all the individual sprues. As I said, there's 16 of them in here. There's 2 photo etch sheets, a sheet of decals that we looked at, there's rubber band style tracks, there's a piece of string to represent the tow cable, and when we go through this and look at it, we'll actually see that the decal sheet is new, and we've got a new sprue in here, sprue R. So as we would expect from AFV Club, lots of goodies in the box. We've got a representation there of the box art, looks all nice. So let's have a look at the instructions, let's have a look at the new sprue, let's have a look at the decal. So as we would expect from AFV Club, we've got an A4 size instruction booklet. This is 20 odd pages in length. The gloss cover allows obviously the nice coloured artwork, and we have a look at the back, we'll see the painting and marking options. But the construction step, fairly straightforward. It's spread out over 30 steps, paint call-outs all the way. Like any model, I always urge people when they first get this home and they open it up, check it out, make sure everything's in there that should be there. Sit down with a cup of tea or coffee, go through the instructions, highlight any alternate parts to make sure that you don't get thrown out during the build sequence. Very important that we plan to make sure we get this all right and get the very best out of our model. As we can see there, option parts, you know, what does you, the modeler, want to actually build. That's going to influence what parts you select and how you go about the assembly process. Fairly straightforward, nothing untoward. The M113s from AFV Club have been around for a while now, so if you've built one before, you should be fairly much all over this, but again, a little bit of research, a little bit of planning will save you a lot of heartache and make it a far, far more enjoyable build. Here we go, 30 odd steps as I said. Then we've got the sprue layout, and then we have the marking options. Now, what we've got here is 3-4 Cavalry Regiment deployed in Rwanda during 1994-95. It was a UN marked vehicle, so it would be all white, then with the UN markings on it. And then what we've got here in the OzCam is again 3-4 Cavalry Regiment deployed in Somalia between 1992 and 1993. Okay, great to see another Australian armoured fighting vehicle coming online as a model kit. Fantastic time to be a modeler, especially if you like Australian subjects. Pop that away. What I did want to have a look at is the decal sheet. Okay, you can see there, I particularly like the UN marked option there, the all white carrier. Lots and lots of red dust all over it to show the sort of operating conditions in Rwanda during that time. Lots of dry dirt on it, muds, you know, just such a blank canvas, so many opportunities to model this. Stock standard markings for inside the crew cab, the various dials and placards to put on the engine compartment. We've got all the external markings, but yeah, I particularly like the plain, simple look of the United Nations vehicle. You know, modelling is an individual hobby. What you choose to do, how you choose to do it, totally up to the modeler. And as I say repeatedly, at the end of the day, as long as you're happy with what you've built, that's the most important thing. There is one new sprue in this kit that we haven't seen before, and that is sprue R. And what we've got on here is things like the side skirts. We've got light guards, which are very, very fine, so be careful when you're taking those off the sprue. Different drive wheels, etc., etc. Again, as you would expect from AFV Club, who have been in the game for quite a while, no flash. Some of the attachment points I feel are a little bit clunky, a bit chunky. Could have been done a little bit better, but careful removal of the part from the sprue shouldn't present any problems. You know, sanding them down, filing them down, getting that seam, that attachment point removed shouldn't be too onerous. Just take your time and check your references, and I think this is going to be a very, very enjoyable build. As I said, arriving in country towards the end of this month, June, and will be available in retail stores and through online retailers, I would think early in July, providing there are no shipping delays. So at Hobbies Australia, if you've watched any of our videos, you'll know that I've got a real passion for trying to develop more and more Australian product to get it to the local market. When I was a young boy, when I started modelling, there was very, very little that you could get that came with Australian markings or Australian reference. And now we're finding more and more manufacturers are looking at our local market and talking to us as a wholesaler, and we're developing more and more product. You've just seen there the AFV Club M113. What's that? The third carrier that's being produced by AFV Club with Australian markings. Actually, no, it's the fourth one, because you've got to take into consideration the carrier, the Tilly version of the carrier as well. So part of my role is that I travel around the countryside and I go to various museums, catch up with retailers, etc., etc. And some time ago I was over in Perth at Bull Creek at the heritage facility over there, and I had a bit of a walk around, and something really caught my eye, and that was the tail fin off a B-24 Liberator, and it had on it the markings for number 25 Squadron, Royal Australian Air Force. And since we started distributing Hobby Boss, we've been able to access this kit, B-24J. It's Hobby Boss kit 83211, and I've had a real passion to try and be able to do something with this. So in conjunction with our colleagues at Ronin Graphics, who do a lot of our in-house printing for us, we've been able to come up with a set of markings for this aircraft, and it represents number 25 Squadron, Royal Australian Air Force, operating the B-24J during the latter stages of World War II. So the actual kit has been around for a little while, and there has been some discussion on various forums when it was first released. You know, recently you always see things crop up about, is this, you know, totally accurate? Could it be improved? And look, you know, we could have this discussion all day, every day. There's always room for improvement, not only in this hobby, but you know, everything we deal with in life. It's the right shape. It's certainly a very large model, but really, more importantly, because it's so large, if you wanted to scratch build, to add additional details, you certainly could. What we're now doing is giving you the opportunity to have Royal Australian Air Force markings and build this as an aircraft operated by 25 Squadron. To me, that ticks an awful lot of boxes and probably makes up for some of the shortfalls with the possible kit. But yeah, I think it's really good, and I think it's going to be very, very well received by modelers. It's a big model. You're going to need a lot of space to display it, but it's going to be a challenge, and I think it's going to be an enjoyable challenge. Just looking here, we can see the decals, the big black swan. That's what really struck me about the markings. The markings are very simple. It was an all-silver airframe or aluminium airframe. The Australian markings in 6 locations, the squadron and aircraft number, and of course this very large swan on the rear tail fins. Just looks absolutely great. What we've got there is the references for the locations of the decals. Not a large sheet here, but of course what's supplied in the kit with all the various markings for location of equipment, no step markings, all that type of stuff. Just really does finish this out nicely. I think this is going to be a good model. I've always wanted to build one of these, but I've never done anything about it because I couldn't get Australian markings. Well, we've now fixed that. B-24s, we're seeing lots of those coming out now. Hobby Boss have done a 148, Airfix have done a 172 in recent times. It's still one of those magical aircraft that attracts an awful lot of attention, and in 132 scale, done up in that aluminium finish. This is going to be a very large, very imposing, very impressive model. Gosh, the box is almost big enough to hide my big head, but anyway. Just remember, when you're looking at these types of models in store, there are a couple of people who distribute this brand in Australia. And what you want to do is make sure that the box has that label on it, okay, that used in Australian service sticker that we put on our kits. If that's got the sticker on it, it means we've opened the box in the warehouse, we've put the Australian marking set in there. If it doesn't have that, okay, it's not going to have Australian marking. So be very aware of that if you're selecting the kit in store. Possibly ask the staff, hey guys, would you mind if I open this up? Can I just check this out? Is this the one that comes with the Australian markings? Save you a lot of heartache, a lot of hassle. But yeah, there it is. The Hobby Boss 83211 B-24J Liberator with Australian markings. So that's a quick rundown on the new AFV Club 35313, the Australian M113 Carrier from the early 1990s, and also a bit of a update on what we're doing with the B-24J in 1/32 scale from Hobby Boss. As always, if you like what we're doing, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We value your constructive criticism. If you've got any comments that you'd like to put on there, please do, and we'll do our best to respond to them. I guess in the meantime, with all this cold weather that's happening at the moment, Scale Model Expo was last weekend in Melbourne. Lots and lots of reference material out there on social media, some absolutely fantastic models on the judging tables in Melbourne. So I guess now with the cold weather, I'm just going to disappear into the workshop for a week or two and like I always say, build more kits. Take care.